Hello everyone, this is Saurabh Sharma. Let's start with the current affairs of 21st of January 2022. Today we have this topic of current affairs, which is Uniform Civil Code. This topic is very important because it has dynamic and vibrant applications, especially regarding with the governance paper 2 for your mains. This is more like a story. If you understand the story, then definitely you'll be able to cope up with the questions you might encounter in the examination. This Uniform Civil Code has this Article 44. This is where it is mentioned in Indian Constitution, which is basically making a part of directive principles of state policy. That means part 4 of the Indian Constitution. This is important. Before talking about Article 44, let's just talk about that Article 37 states that the DPSPs are not enforceable in any court of law. Not enforceable. This is just you have to remember for the time being. Then we will be discussing about this Uniform Civil Code as part of DPSP. What happens is Uniform Civil Code. Try to break the word. Uniform means that the equal application or applicability. Civil means on the people, their way of life, their system of adhering to the customs, religion, marriage, succession, adoption. That means anything which is of personal in nature. And code means that one thing which has an applicability in the form of legislation, acts or rules. So this is basically the Uniform Civil Code. That means certain codification of rules and guidelines which are applicable to all the citizens of the country living in the Indian society, and the way of their life, all the elements, that is marriage, adoption, succession, divorce, or whatsoever of this personal nature will be coming under this fact of Uniform Civil Code. So a Uniform Civil Code is that all sections of society, irrespective of their religion, shall be treated equally according to a national civil code which shall be applicable to all the areas of the country uniformly. This is what we mean. And what comes under Uniform Civil Code? Marriage. If marriage is there, then definitely divorce. Then child adoption, succession, etc. nature. Or if marriage is there, then maintenance of the state. So if religion is having a meaning, that is becoming a fundamental basis of division of the society, so that the stake, the security of the state, the social uniformity of the state, and social integration of the state is at stake, then the religion will be subsided, and all these principles which have been specifically enumerated in the Indian Constitution will be coming into force. This is the philosophy of Indian Constitution. So here, this Article 44, which is talking about the DPSP or Uniform Civil Code within the category of DPSP, states that state shall endeavor to provide for its citizens a uniform civil code throughout the territory of India. Why this provision is given there? Because India is a land of many religions, many customs, many traditions, many practices, many beliefs, many followings. And here, since the constitution has guaranteed the equal treatment to all the citizens, irrespective of vulnerability always is accounted in the aspects of children, women, transgenders, old age people, people with disabilities, and so on. So, this is the issue that when you have so many belief systems in the country, then how will you bring them in one aspect? And if you do not cover them under one aspect of rules or regulations, especially in the civil way of life, then it will start creating differences where the competition between the communities will be high. Whereas people will start measuring themselves with respect to the different communities. Here, the social position of gender, all vulnerable people will be measured, and overall it will reflect a diversified or a disturbed image of country's growth at national level. Do you understand my point? Here, if we talk about that, for example, triple talaq is a very it was a very easy mechanism to denounce the marriage by just saying triple talaq or the talaq talaq talaq. But here, the this philosophy is being practiced, or this mechanism is being practiced for the personal benefits, not because of any wiser objective. So here, this is actually placing women or females at a weaker position. So in this manner, if the equality, liberty, and respect is not given throughout the country in a uniform manner, then definitely we need certain laws, so we need certain mechanism, and it was not at all given during the time of framing constitution forcefully. Rather, it was better left on the fate of time to decide and the communities to decide, so that at later stage, when people will understand the meaning of liberties, respect, and fundamental rights, and equal impositions of development or aspirations of development throughout the society, then society would one day come along and discuss this matter. That was the philosophy, and this is why this reason was there, that it was left to be discussed at later stage. But did that stage come? No, it did not come. It never became a matter of discussion in a mutual understanding, mutual objective manner. Whereas, whenever this topic was raised, it was either suppressed by political motivations through the acts of legislations or acts, through the challenging the issues. Whenever it was raised in Supreme Courts or High Courts, it was all challenging by giving the references of religious practices and beliefs, and in all the manner, females or children have suffered. So this is why this issue is again coming into prominence. So if we look at the this debate, that how did it start and why did it remain in the existence, if we talk about the historical perspective, then Lex Loki Report of October 1840, Lex Loki Report, Lex Loki Report of 1840, it talked about that the social customs or civil customs of Indians must be codified in laws. Codified in laws or in the civil or criminal rules that will be throughout the society or India will remain same. Especially the discussion actually or the suggestions were not taken ahead, and therefore the importance and necessity of uniformity in the conditions of Indian law were taken up relating to crimes, evidence and contract. But it, since the report also recommended that personal laws of Hindus and Muslim should also be uniform, but it kept outside the codification country. So in this manner, when the utmost importance needing issues of that will bring the social uniformity and ultimately the national uniformity, they were left behind, that they were left on the fate of the time and people to come up and discuss. It would remain absolutely undiscussed till 1947 1950 when the constitution drafting was going on. The references they stopped the proceedings about bringing this into uniform civil code, and therefore it was again left behind, and hence the lack of awareness among the masses was also a prominent reason that this uniform civil code could never be brought into force. Then we had certain reforms separately. What were the reforms? We had Hindu Code Bill. The bill was drafted by B.R. Ambedkar during the early 1950s, and here that please remember that whenever such nature bills were drafted and passed or adopted, there the supremacy of one gender, that is masculine gender, always remain, or it was always kept on top. In this manner, the position of females with respect to the laws, with respect to her rights, liberty, dignity, and creating the equality among all these spheres were kept at secondary or at the subsequent levels. This has become an issue in the 1950s, and after that aspect we have the first very important case of Shah Bano case that was came to Supreme Court in 1985. What happens is that one man divorced his wife named Shah Bano using triple talaq, saying I divorced 3 times, and he denied maintenance beyond the period of 90 days or the iddat period. And the lady of 73-year-old rights DPSPs and so many things. After studying, they actually gave out this verdict. And then Supreme Court also said that that he had fulfilled all his obligations under Islamic law. Who? The men. So the Supreme Court ruled in her favor in 1985 under the Maintenance of Wives, Children and Parents Provision, Section 125 of All India Criminal Code, which applied to all citizens irrespective of religion. It recommended that a uniform civil code must be set up. So, in summary, what were the facts? Under Muslim personal law, maintenance was to be paid only till period of iddat, and iddat was for 3 lunar months, that is 90 days. So this first condition under the Muslim personal law board, or this Muslim personal law, was fulfilled by the man. This is what his argument was. Second, his argument was challenged because personal law board, like, fine, he was actually following it, but what was major at that time that was applied to all country uniformly, it was the CRPC. So according to section 125 of CRPC that applied to all citizens, the maintenance of wives, children and parents, it was there, and in this aspect, Supreme Court asked him to pay the maintenance to the wife. Here, what was the impact? During that time, it was the majority government of Congress in the center. So the Muslim community forced the then Prime Minister, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, to draft a bill and to make it an act in favor of Muslims, so that any such issues would never come up in the future. So they drafted the Muslim Women's Right to Protection on Divorce Act in 1986 that actually made that 125 section of CRPC would not be applicable to Muslim women. Hence, they kept the men free or out of the purview of paying the maintenance beyond 90 days to the Muslim women in case of any talaq. So here, this personal law won the spirit of liberty, spirit of respect, spirit of bringing the equality among all the sections of the society, because it was the political agenda. Then Muhammad. So that means, like, Chandra Mohan actually changed their name to Chand Mohammed. Then the matter went to court. The court said that any marriage that solemnized under one religion, that would only be abolished under that religion only. Beyond that, it would not be abolished. So in this manner, conversion to any other religion for just the purpose of doing second marriage or more marriages would not itself dissolve the Hindu marriage that solemnized under Hindu Marriage Act 1955. Therefore, the second marriage solemnized after converting to Islam would be an offense under section 494 of the Indian Penal Code. This is what he said. So therefore, again, the second issue was there. So we have discussed this. First is Shah Bano case, where 125 CRPC was given by Supreme Court, and the act passed in 1986 by Rajiv Gandhi government kept Muslim men out of purview of this 1986, saying that this CRPC Act that provided for the maintenance provision for the women and children out of the purview of that act, that freed the men from that act applicability. The second was Sarla Mudgal case. Here the man, just to have the second marriage, he adopted Islam, embraced Islam, and he changed his religion. But court said that just for the purpose of getting second marriage solemnized, you cannot change the religion. And if you want to change the religion or whatsoever, the first marriage had to be dissolved according to the law or according to the act or religious act where you were married in. So in this aspect, we have these two important, very important cases that brought the domain or discussion about this issue at very high stake. So what happens? Let's see the next developments in this aspect. Now, remember in the beginning of the article I said that Article 37 makes it clear that DPSP shall not be enforceable in any court. Therefore, the Article 44, which is the Uniform Civil Code, was not worth of challenging in the High Court or Supreme Court and giving the direction to the central government or state governments to frame this Uniform Civil Code into an act and make it uniformly applicable. Therefore, this DPSPs, which are generally fundamental to the governance of the country, is better left on the states and central government to decide with respect to time and space. Therefore, this UCC became a high prominent issue that is covering the marriage, divorce, maintenance, inheritance, adoption and succession of property within the respect. But section 37 article 37 says that it is not enforceable. Hence, this is remaining the issue which is over the period of time brought into the matter of discussion. Now, if we say that why do we need this Uniform Civil Code? What benefit would it bring to us? Number one, as we know that, and one more thing, like Goa is the only state where Uniform Civil Code is applied. We'll talk about this Goa thing later stage. If we talk about this favor of Uniform Civil Code, it will integrate India. The first thing is it will integrate India. India is a country with many religions, customs and practices, and Uniform Civil Code will help integrating India with more than it has ever been since independence. Remember, because we have been struggling due to these differences, and hence it will help in bringing every Indian, despite his caste, religion or tribe, under one civil code of conduct where no one will be suffering just because of the differences of the laws and following the personal laws. It will help in reducing vote bank politics because UCC is creating, or it is bridging the gap between the religious diversity in the country, which is becoming for the political parties this agenda in every election, that they take the benefits of the differences available and they try to build their political forts over these issues. Then personal laws are always a loophole because it is keeping the men at the superior position and female at the inferior position. Therefore, it is only creating a gender biased system or environment in the country. Then if it is an applicable thing, then it will be a sign of modern progressive state, because the reports like gender neutrality rate, gender equality index, and all those index will not be an issue for the country, because females are only suffering because these rights, the property, marriage, divorce, children, all these issues are putting females social position at inferior level. It will give more rights to women since they will be brought at the power of equality along with the female belonging to different religions. Then definitely it will give more rights to women and more confidence to women. Once they have the equal rights on the property, then it will ensure the economic independence and economic strength to the females. Second, if they can decide about the succession or adoption, then they will have the say in attaining the motherhood. In what ways, biological or social adoption, if they have their say in legal obligation or legal divorce system, then it will give them the liberty that they will not longer be remaining in the marriage of substance, of bad substance, where only females are suffering. Then when the Constitution of India says that there shall be equality among all the people, or right to equality, then females have all the way right to equality, and that equality cannot be just suffered because of some misconfusion and other interpretation of laws in the form of absence of uniform civil code. It promotes real secularism, because all the religions, then it will be bringing, because those differences that are seen across the daily life, ways of life, that will be remain covered under the one codifications of law. Then Article 25 and 26 that guarantee the freedom of religion and uniform civil code is not opposed to secularism, and hence the codification and unification of the variegated personal law will produce a more coherent legal system where all the people are enjoying the equal liberties, right? So in this case, let's just discuss the Goa Civil Code. What does it say? Goa is only one state where uniform civil code is applied, and it was brought in by the Portuguese in the state with no difference, or with many differences according to the religious applicability in other areas during that time. So what it is says that uniform civil code in Goa is a progressive law which allows equal division of income and property among husband and wife, and also between children. So there is no issue, though. So there is no matter of renouncing any of the members of the family beyond the claim of properties. Then every birth, marriage, death, or whatsoever has to be registered. And for divorce, there are several provisions. Muslims have their marriages registered in Goa. They cannot practice polygamy or divorce through the Talaq. It has to be through courts, and they have to first divorce legally the previous wife or husband or social partner, then they will be eligible to have the remarriage. And all the people who are about to get married, they have to register themselves with the registrar before the marriage itself, because the party names should be given there. This is the practical law, where the female and male, they are exercising the equal rights. And just imagine the society where this nomination, this registration is given to the government departments before the marriage is solemnized. Then the female's social position is ensured, that state has a backing in her social position and insurity. And this is why you'll be seeing that there are no mostly issues of dowry, no mostly issues of domestic violence having with the females in the Goa. During the course of marriage, all the property and wealth owned and acquired by each spouse shall be equally divided and commonly held by them. And in case of divorce, both the members are entitled to equal share and proportion, or in the event of death also. The parents cannot disinherit their children from the property claim. At least the 50% will be going to the children, and from that 50%, that will be divided among the children. So this code is only applicable in the state of Goa. However, there are certain flaws, but it is not important. The important thing is that they have the applicability, and majority, at least 82% to 90%, the people of Goa, the genders, are having the stronger social position with respect to the females, especially from rural India in other areas, right? Then what are the challenges in the issues of this Uniform Civil Code, that what government is facing, what many commissions are facing? The task of actually devising a set of rules that will govern all communities is a very formidable and tedious one, considering the vast ranges of interest and sentiment and arguments, pressure groups, interest groups, and many people who are generally representing the community, especially minorities. They always try to ensure their position, their hold over the community, and they make it a political agenda. And that is why they do not let those issues to come up on the table to be discussed rationally. Misinformation about UCC. People believe that, especially from the minority areas or minority groups, they believe that this Uniform Civil Code is nothing but it's a way of making everything in a Hinduistic way. So this is an issue, right? The next challenge is that some sections in minorities claim it is a way of imposing majority views on them. One is Hinduizing them, and second is majority views on them. Then lack of political will, strongly, and the complexity and sensitivity of the case is never discussed. And one more thing, that recently one statement quoted by the Bihar chief minister, he said that the major failure we are facing right now with respect to the imposition of the applicability of uniform civil code in the country is that we try to discuss all the issues or the elements of uniform civil code at once. Like, we try to discuss marriage, divorce, succession, adoption at one go, whereas we have to discuss and sort out one issue first, then we have to speak about the next issue, so that the case studies and success reference of one element is there with the communities and they do not feel that something is being imposed over them. Then different religious communities have different personal laws which lead to politicization, and therefore no thorough discussion is made possible. No single platform where the community leaders or representatives are generally invited and their suggestions are taken on board. So these are certain challenges we have in this area. So if we talk about some suggestions there, what could be the suggestion? A progressive and broad outlook is needed among the people, and here education has to play an important role. This uniform civil code must be in the simplest way of form, must be introduced from the elementary level of education, then should be taken upward, because only the people of certain intellectual level or competence are knowing about this uniform civil code and the differences available or present in the society. Therefore, this education, awareness and sensitization program of all these issues must be introduced at different levels, and the drawbacks of not having UCC must be discussed through many areas. Then uniform civil code should be in the best interest of all the religions without creating any differences with the people belonging to different communities. The matter being very sensitive in nature, is always better if the initiative comes from the religious group concerned and their opinion must be analyzed thoroughly, and here no dominance must be shown. And a committee of eminent jurists should be considered to maintain uniformity and care. And here, if the representation of females are brought into this arena at in the majority of proportion, then definitely this uniform civil code will not only be efficient or rational, it will be very quick, it will be smooth, and it will ensure its applicability throughout the country in a very desirable manner. So here this is the topic about this Uniform Civil Code, and here we can believe that the Uniform Civil Code is necessary for the country, for the progress, for the development, for the equal respect, and also the applications of fundamental rights available in the Constitution for all the individual. And this is how we can actually ensure these to the people of India.